Good evening, everyone. We are excited to have you join us tonight for our first presentation into our Sister-Nomics program. So we are about to get started. I am Regina Caldwell. I am the chair of the Economic Empowerment Program Committee with the National Coalition of 100 Black Women in the Dallas Metropolitan Chapter. At this time, I'm going to introduce Co-Sister Reddick, who will give us an overview of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women.
Good evening and welcome to the Sister-Nomics program for the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, the Dallas Metropolitan Chapter. My name is Stephanie Reddick. I am the recording secretary for the Dallas Metropolitan Chapter, and we would like to welcome you all to our program this evening. To let you know a little bit about our organization, the National Coalition of 100 Black Women. Our mission is to advocate on behalf of Black women and girls. So that is what we are doing tonight, and we are wanting to teach Black women and girls more about budgeting, and I will turn it back over to you. Thank you very much, and everyone have a great evening.
All right, thank you so much, Co-Sister Reddick. At this time, I want to give an overview of why we are here this evening, the purpose of our session. Tonight, we are going to talk about making budgets work. I know that sometimes that may be challenging. It's definitely a challenge for me, but tonight we want to give you some tips and some tools to help you make your budget work for you. So tonight we are going to determine your personal obstacles to budgeting, what may be getting in your way to managing your budget effectively, create a format to track and analyze your spending. Probably if I would do that, I would be surprised on where I'm spending my money. And listen to your short-term. I'm sorry, I am hearing background, but okay, there we go. List your short and long-term goals. Also, we're going to discuss the importance of debt reduction and emergency savings, making sure that we reduce that debt and have emergency savings. And we're going to learn how to apply those strategies tonight to manage your day-to-day spending. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our speaker. Our speaker and presenter for this evening is Ms. Charlotte Sims. Charlotte is a community relations officer with the Neighborhood Credit Union, and she has been in her position for the last 14 years with Neighborhood Credit Union. She has worked in financial services for over 30 years. She teaches financial literacy and is passionate about financial education in the community. She has been featured in the Southwest Now magazine for her outstanding baking skills. She enjoys baking cookies, pies, cakes, and in 2019, she won the Stetson Award for working in the Dallas community. Charlotte has served on the Greater Dallas Postal Customer Service Council Board of Directors for several years. She has been part of the postal family for over 10 years. Charlotte works in the community by serving the Oak Cliff Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors and the Inland Port Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. Ms. Charlotte, we are glad to have you this evening, and now we will turn it over to you.
Well, thank you so much, and I am so excited to be here today. So I want to say good evening, everyone. And again, thank you for having me. My name is Charlotte Sims. And I will be supporting, my supporting person will be Alta Simmons. She's going to co-facilitate this class with me today on making budgets work. And before we begin, we know everybody has access to the participant guide. We will use that a lot throughout this program. So if you have an opportunity to download it or make a copy of it.
Ms. Sims, we have just placed that participant guide in the chat.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so I'd like to give you a little background about what the credit union is. We were originally created in 1930. We're one of the oldest credit unions here in the Metroplex. We changed our name in 2001 to Neighborhood Credit Union because a lot of our postal family and friends wanted to join the credit union. So we changed our name so we could extend out to their families and friends. We now serve more than 56,000 members, and we have over $1 billion in assets. Neighborhood Credit Union is ongoing effort to make members convenient services in their communities and mobile access wherever they go has caused us and helped us to become one of the leading credit unions here in the Metroplex. And I'm going to introduce to you Alta Simmons, who is a financial service certified professional with over 20 years serving her friends, family, and clients in strategy partnership management for National University. She supports the mission of the whole human experience while learning. Working for a nonprofit university, she has been dedicated time to give back to her associates, her corporations, and other nonprofits she partners with to provide scholarships for affordable education, as well as serving on her chamber boards, volunteering in her community. She is passionate about education, financial literacy, but also really enjoys spending time with her husband and her two wonderful children. So with all that being said, I'm gonna turn it over to Alta and I'm gonna let her get started.
Thank you, Charlotte. And I also enjoy spending a lot of time with I call her my work mom, Charlotte. So ladies, let's get started with making budgets work. So, many of us, we struggle with savings. I know Regina recently just said, just if she would go and look back and see where she's spending her money, she'd probably be pretty shocked and, wondering why she's spending these monies in all these different places. And budgeting it doesn't come naturally to everyone. And most people find that it's a lot harder to do than it sounds. Budgeting is a skill, and planning and preparation are required on your part to make it work. So in this workshop, we will show you how you can set financial goals, live within your means, which is the key word, within your means, and create and stick to a budget. So I want you to turn your attention to my first slide, which is going to go over the workshop goals here. And so what we'll determine today is obstacles to budgeting. Not only that, how to track and analyze your spending, short, long-term goals, very, very important. Even managing your day-to-day spending, which I think we could all use some help with, right? All right. Okay, so first question, what is budgeting, right? It is the process of creating a plan to spend your money. And budgeting can help you in these different ways. Budgeting helps you live within your means. It can also help with paying down debt. And it also helps to save for future emergencies. So, we just lived through the age of COVID. I think that was probably the biggest emergency we've ever experienced. And how many of us can say we were affected financially by that emergency? Many of us not even having emergency funds available. And I'm sure Charlotte can speak to this, as being at the credit union, many of those members struggled to make ends meet, and the credit union was there for them, right?
That is
During
correct.
those times, yes, of struggle. So there's many reasons why people don't budget. And I want to turn again your attention to the screen so you can see these common excuses. And maybe some of them are things you've said to yourself. I can personally attest that I have said, oh, it's just too complicated. Nope, it's making my head hurt just thinking about it. I've also said, you know, I'd rather do anything else. It takes too much time. It's such a hassle. I'm not going to keep up with that. No, ain't got time. Ain't nobody got time. Nope. And probably the biggest thing I've said is I have no self-control, because if something's on sale, I'm going to buy it in every color, okay? Because it's on sale. So self-control is not something that I had a good grip on. That is for sure. So just reflect on that and see where you see yourself in that picture, okay? The first step is admitting, right?
And feel free to share in the chat. I will be asking questions throughout. So one of the questions that I just put in the chat was, what's your biggest obstacle to budgeting?
Yeah, great question. So understanding the challenges that prevent us from breaking the bad habit may help us overcome them, okay? And you all probably want to get better at budgeting, but everybody's motivations may differ. To really make a budget work for you, it's important to have financial goals to motivate you, because most of us ain't going to just be budgeting to budget, right? We want to budget for an end goal. For example, I met with a client the other day and she said, by July, I need to have $10,000 saved. So we went through her plan to find out where we could free up the discretionary income to find monies for her to save to get to her goal. And her goal was going to help her purchase something that she wanted, right? So motivation is the key. Financial goals could be personal goals you set for yourself about how you'll save or how you'll spend the money. These goals can be both things that you hope to achieve in the short term, or things that you want to achieve further down the road. So there are obviously 3 different types of financial goals, as you see here on the slide. Short-term examples would be like paying off credit card debt or saving for that dream vacation you've been wanting to go on. Medium-term would be maybe buying a new car, making a down payment on a home, or even paying off some debt. And then, of course, long-term would be building a college savings fund or saving for your retirement. And I highly, highly recommend, you know, putting those kids to work and setting up a little kid savings account. I did both of those for both of my kids, both accounts for my kids. I actually started a little business for them. They have a coffee and cocoa bar, and the money they save, we deposit right into their little old accounts. And they earn the value of, they learn the value of money because they earn it themselves. And not only that, they have to do their inventory, so they can't spend that much. So all of those practices, put them into work, especially since it's Sister-Nomics, right? We want to teach the young women to be leaders. So we got to instill in our children at a young age the value of money, because some of these kids, y'all, is very ungrateful. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm just going to put that out there. All right. So moving right along. So setting financial goals, it can be a fun part of budgeting. And I want to now just bring up that in your participants guide around page 3, you'll see this sheet here. It says setting your goals worksheet, okay? And I want you to take some time at your convenience and think of at least 3 goals that you have for yourself, for your family, maybe for you and your spouse, for you and a partner, a loved one, you know, and just fill that out when you have the chance to do that, okay? So keeping your financial documents and information organized and maintained is a very important part of your financial health. You need this information to create a budget, and keeping it organized will help you manage your finances more quickly, even in the future. And so as you can see here on the slide, these are all the items that you're going to need, your sources of income, your average monthly expenses, of course, and then your debts in a nutshell is what you'll be needing. All right. Okay, so on the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about sources of income. And first, you'll need to complete a list of all your net income. That's an amount in your paycheck after taxes and other deductions. So if you're self-employed or you work odd jobs, this is your adjusted income after quarterly self-employment taxes have been taken out. But wages may not be your only source of income. You may also receive some bonuses, maybe even child support and other sources of aid or income. And on that participant's guide on page 3, there is the list there where you can, write it all out. And you're going to list the income in the left column and the amounts you receive each month on the right column. And if the amounts vary from month to month, try to just determine an average for each source, okay? So after that, you'll need to record your monthly expenses. And this includes everything from housing to gas to entertainment. Often you can access this information by maybe looking through bank statements, or if you have your mobile app, you can use that. Receipts even, and some financial institutions may also offer this as an online feature on their website. And there are different computer software sites and suites. So maybe you have some sort of Microsoft Excel you like to use, because you like to do Excel documents, or maybe you like QuickBooks. And then there's free expense tracking apps you can use. You can download those to your mobile device. And some financial institutions may even have a feature in their online banking where you can track those things. I know Neighborhood Credit Union has a really great tracker. It's a pie chart, and it shows you where your money is going, what brackets your money is going to. So you can kind of narrow down, okay, where do I need to, slow my spending, and where can I increase my savings? So, and finally, if you're like me, good old fashioned paper and pencil works just fine too, right? So definitely there's different options you can use. And you'll want to get a more accurate picture of your average monthly spending by tracking your expenses. And we did include space for you to track your expenses as well on the expense list. And you can make note of each item, and you want to put it as a want or as a need. So a want would be something that you have, but you could live without. Like, I really want a new pair of shoes, to go with my new dress, but I don't really need it. And a need, of course, is gonna be, I gotta pay these electric and these gas bill, or I'm gonna be sitting in this house with no lights, okay? So that's your needs. And when it comes to the expense tracker, the only debt that should be recorded is your mortgage, okay? So if you have one, of course. And you'll record your other debts on the next worksheet, which is page 5. Once you've calculated your monthly debts, then you can apply that amount there. All right. Okay. So in this listing debts area, in this section, we ask for more information than just your debts and monthly payments. This is because knowing your APR, which is your annual percentage rate, and balance can help you create a strategy for paying off your debts by taking into consideration the additional cost of interest on loans and other debts. This is really important because you really want to know what interest rate you have, because it may be time to refinance. It may be time, to look into other options. And when it comes to paying off your debts, taking that into consideration and the additional cost of interest on loans and other debts, it can make a huge difference with the overall amount you're spending out every month. And for monthly payments, list what you usually pay each month for each debt. If the monthly payment on the debt varies, try to just determine an average. Once you've listed all your debts, you're going to add them up on the monthly, add the monthly payments, and then apply that figure to the debt section on your expense tracker in the participant guide. Okay, so tracking your income, your expenses, and your debts is a great first step. And you can't stop there. In order to create an effective budget, you have to also analyze your spending, which is what Leader Caldwell was talking about earlier. Some of us are scared, okay, to track where we've been spending. So once you've determined your monthly income, your total debts, your monthly spending, you can calculate your discretionary income. And I always love to include Charlotte in this because she says that nothing should be considered discretionary income. I'll let you briefly share about the discretionary income, Charlotte.
Okay, thank you, Alta. My philosophy is when we call it discretionary, that implies that it's free to spend. So I think that all money should have a label. So even though you don't have a plan for your money today, if you put it somewhere and don't call it discretionary, don't call it free, don't call it extra, you put it somewhere, and then when something, because as life goes on, something will happen and you will need that money on down the road. So call it vacation, call it savings, call it anything. Just create a bucket for it and continue to save it, because discretionary money becomes money that you need on down the road if you didn't save it. But if you save it, it's money, it goes to a good use. It just doesn't get spent, like on that pair of new shoes that you really didn't need.
In every color, absolutely. So discretionary income, I love what she says, so I had to have her share it. I've learned so many golden nuggets from this woman right here. She is amazing. Discretionary income is the amount left over after discretionary, right? After you deduct your expenses from your income. So figuring out your discretionary income shows you how much money you may be able to apply towards your savings goal each month or your vacation goal, right? Because we're giving it a name, we're creating that goal, which is also going to be that motivation. And in your participants guide on page 5, when you get the chance, you can fill out the form about your discretionary income, okay? And to calculate it, you would subtract your average monthly expenses. So that's your, electric, gas, things like that, right? And your debts recorded on the expense tracker from your total income, okay? Recorded on your sources of income, okay? So does anybody even know what their discretionary income is, what their money left over is? Right, most of us don't. This is the amount that you would have left over every month if you didn't spend it, right?
Right, it could be going on vacation. Yeah.
It's what you can afford to apply to your savings goals. Okay. And, you know, how many of you think you have enough of that? Probably not many of us. Most of us, right, would say that we want more. And in order to get more, we need to take a more analytical look at how we're spending our income. Okay. So we're going into my favorite segment, y'all. This is the taking action part, right? And this is one of the strategies that I use all the time with my clients when I'm helping them uncover their needs, their wants, their savings and debts. Just like the young lady I told you I was helping the other day that was trying, she had a motivation. Her goal was to get $10,000 saved within a few months. And you would be surprised once we started categorizing her income into these quadrants, we discovered that she had about $1,000 extra, not extra, $1,000 savings she could use, right? Discretionary income that she could put towards that goal to get to that point faster. So Charlotte, would you like to go ahead and take it away and share a little bit more about the 50-30-20 rule, or you want me to just keep on going? It's up to you.
I'll be happy to.
Okay.
Okay. I think most of us would say that we want more. So we want to save more money. We want to have more money. I mean, like, I'm at the point where I've been saving for a long time for retirement, but now I think I have enough money, but I'm afraid to pull the trigger because I want more. So when is enough enough? Never. It's never enough. So have any of you heard of the 50-30-20 rule? So we're going to talk about that budget. The 50-30-20 budget rule is a commonly quoted financial rule. It's a financial rule of thumb. Everybody uses it. It's a good rule. The idea behind the 50-30-20 rule is that you should split your expenses into 3 categories: your wants, your needs, and your saving and debt. 50% should go towards things you need to live, such as your rent, your groceries, and your utilities. 30% can be spent on things you want, but don't necessarily need. See, now that's a good category to have because we all want something, and it's kind of difficult to live day to day, long term, without ever having any of the things you want. So 30% goes towards your needs. I'm sorry, your wants, but don't necessarily need, such as eating out. I love eating out at restaurants. We all love shopping, and we all need a little entertainment from time to time. And 20% should be applied to savings and paying down your debt, because we all should be trying to eliminate our debt. The 50-20-30 rule aims to be a flexible strategy used to manage your debt. Are you able to follow the 50-20-30 rule? Let's take a closer look. If you turn to page 6 on your participants guide, and you can do this later when you have an opportunity, this section in the 50-20-30 rule records your monthly net income. So here we're talking about recording your monthly net income at the top of this section. You can take it from the last section, because the last section we kind of worked it up. So you can take it from there. Now calculate how much of your income you should apply to each category based on the 50, the 30, and the 20 rule, and record it down. And you can look at that chart. Once you record those, you can look at it and see how much you're going over or how much extra money you have to spend. Now that you have an idea of what the recommended budget is, you can figure out how close you are to it. Are you following it? Are you going over, and where you can make changes? If you go to page 4 in your participants guide, it'll show you more details, and there is a form there for you to fill out. If you turn to page 6 in your participant guide and locate the section calculating percentages spent. Needs and wants. This is the fun category. You can add up everything spent on your needs and on your wants, and then divide each of those two totals by your income. You can move the decimal point 2 places over to the right, or multiply that figure by 100 to get your percentage. If you're spending too much on your needs, consider options for downsizing. For an example, maybe your rent is too high for your current income. We really love that one. Or perhaps you're spending a lot on costly foods every month. Maybe steak, when we can maybe eat chicken a little more. Sometimes cutting back and cutting down from needs category can be very difficult. But often things we think are needs are actually fulfilling some want as well. Now, also remember that this is just a strategy you can use to make your budget work for you. However, this is not a hard and fast rule. You may live in an area where housing is expensive, and that's probably almost all over the country because housing is very expensive right now. For an example, or setting aside 20% for your savings goal may be too ambitious. It's not enough. So you have to really decide, and nobody really can decide what's best for you. You have to take a closer look at it and figure out what's right for you. Paying off your debt can be an important step towards achieving your financial goals. When we discuss paying off your debt, we focused on high interest debt, like credit cards. Credit cards are usually the worst form of debt, but some loans can also have high interest rates. Credit card debt can be very costly. If you work to pay off your debt, you will be able to apply what you've used to spend each month to your savings goals instead. So if you're working towards paying off your credit card debt, so as you pay off one credit card, if that was $100 you were paying towards that credit card, you can take that $100 and put in your savings instead of saying I have discretionary a discretionary $100. You take that $100 and you put it towards your savings, so you're saving it and you're recycling that same money, and it's going to help you eliminate debt or create a savings plan. There are two methods you can use to repay debt. There's the avalanche method and the snowball method. With the avalanche method, you first focus on paying off the debt that has the highest interest rate. And on the snowball method, you focus on paying off the debt that carries the lowest balance. And there's no wrong or right way to do this. Some people like to pay off that low balance because you get that feel good. Oh, I got rid of a credit card. And that does help you feel good, and it's motivation. So both methods have advantages. For an example, although you would save more in interest by using the avalanche method, research has shown that psychologically, we can play a role in paying off debt by paying off the even smaller balances and make you feel very good about yourself and motivate you to continue paying down your debt. Whatever method you choose, the important thing is to stick to a strategy and pay down your debt so that you can begin freeing up more funds to put towards your savings. So how many of you have ever experienced a financial emergency? I think we all can say we've experienced a financial emergency because we all survived COVID. And that was a big financial emergency. A lot of people lost their jobs during COVID. A lot of people was on reduced salary. There was a lot of different things going on. We had a lot of our members here at the credit union call us and say they were out of work. They couldn't buy food, and we were giving them loans to help carry them through COVID. So those were all kind of emergencies. And by that, I mean something unexpected, and COVID was definitely unexpected. Something unexpected happened that required a large sum of money.
And Charlotte, I remember a story you shared. There was a young woman that called in asking for a loan, and she said, I just need to buy groceries for my children. I just
That
need
is exactly what
$300
happened.
to buy groceries for my children. And it was heartbreaking, to hear these
Yes.
stories, when we have the funds that we could put aside, but we choose to spend it as discretionary income, right? As opposed to for an emergency savings.
Right. And that's why we say for emergencies, because emergencies are just that. We can't, we don't know when they're going to happen or what is happening. We have no way of knowing that. And that's why we call it emergency. Emergencies definitely happen. They just a part of life. A report out of Duke University predicted that over half of all US households will experience at least one financial shock, averaging $2,000. Sometimes emergencies can be even more expensive. So think of these questions. What if you lose your job? What do you do when you have an emergency that you can't cover with the funds that you have in your bank account? How do you cover your expenses when you don't have an income? Those are some really good questions. And we all have to ask ourselves these. Many of us end up using credit cards. And we already discovered that credit cards are the worst kind of debt. So we have to do what we have to do when we need to provide for our family, but that's what we usually use when we run out of money is we use credit cards. Using credit cards to pay for an emergency could lead you to a downward spiral of debt, because the more debt you accrue, the higher your monthly expenses and the less you can put towards your savings goal. To protect yourself from a spiral of debt, experts recommend maintaining emergency savings that cover at least 3 months of your living expenses. I know this really probably sounds like a significant amount of money. And it may seem impossible right now. What's important that you save something, even $500 will help ease the burden in the event of an emergency. Another important thing to consider when planning for an emergency is to make sure that you have insurance that could cover expenses during an emergency. Insurance that can protect you against emergencies include health insurance, car insurance, rentals insurance, short-term disability, and homeowners insurance. So all of those insurances are absolutely important. So make sure that you have those things in place, because we never know what's really going to happen tomorrow. Paying down your debt and creating an emergency savings fund is a great way to reduce your expenses so that you can free up funds for your savings goals. But there are many other strategies you can use to save money. Some involve changing your habits, and some involve changing your mindset. Let's go over a few strategies. So reducing your wants is an excellent way to free up funds. But the best way is one that many people don't even think about. When you really focus on freeing up funds, Often the best place to look isn't your coffee bar habits. It's your bigger expenses, especially those in the needs category. I know that's a little bit of a surprise. The first place to look is your reoccurring expenses. These are your policies or policy you agreed to like contracts you signed and then often forgot about them. How many of you shop around for car insurance every year? Do you contact multiple insurance companies to get the best rate? I know we all forget to do that. And once we get a car insurance, we just stick with the same one. But every year you really should shop around so that you can see if there's any savings. That's pretty standard practice. But when it comes to following up, even the most responsible person can get a little unfocused. How many of you get new quotes every year? I probably used to a long time ago, but I don't do it. I haven't did it in the past like I should. How many of you have subscription services like those for shopping, gaming, music, or meal deliveries? And how many of you have or have had subscriptions that you pay for that you don't use often enough to warrant the cost? I was just asking myself, do I really need Amazon Prime? Because a lot of times I don't get my merchandise in 2 days anymore. So, and I don't watch the movies, I don't watch the videos. So do I really need Amazon Prime anymore? Or am I just comfortable with having it? So those are good questions that you have to ask yourself. If any of these situations sounds like yours, you're not alone. Once we have a subscription or policy, we have a tendency to become content and just stick with what we have. The second place to look is at your more costly purchases, like cars, homes, televisions. How many of you shopped around when buying your larger ticket items? Most of us do. The problem here isn't shopping around for the best deal. Not really. It's in making the right decision. Some experts claim that Americans are serial overspenders, often spending more than we can afford, especially for bigger ticket items. We buy too much house, or we get the latest, greatest version of our cell phone, even though an older model would work just fine. It's important to reward ourselves, but we also need to realize when we're giving in to present biases, allowing short-term rewards to take precedence over the most important long-term goals. Here are some other tips that can help you when shopping to free up some funds. Use coupons. I love coupons. Every week every Saturday there are coupons for detergent at Family Dollar, Dollar Tree, not Dollar Tree, Family Dollar, Dollar General, CVS, and those kind of stores. They have detergent coupons all the time, and they're digital coupons. You don't have to carry anything. You go in there, you pick up the merchandise, you put your phone number in at the checkout, and then your discount automatically comes off. And I have stocked up with detergent. I know that's something I'm gonna always need, so I've really stocked up with detergent. Use the clearance aisles. I love the clearance aisles. I love to go see what I can find, and use markdown sites. The same goes for discounts, clearance websites, and often they're the same product. Buying in bulk, I love my Sam's Club and Costco. So Consider buying in bulk. Now, if you live alone, buying in bulk may not be necessarily the right thing for you, because maybe some of the stuff will spoil before you get to it. I don't know, but you have to decide that. And whenever you see a hot deal, get it. If you can afford it, get it. When shopping discounts and clearance, be sure to check expiration dates and carefully examine all items for defects and damages. Saving $10 on a steak isn't worthwhile if you risk food poisoning. Don't trust the first price that you see if you're in the market for something you don't usually purchase. Be sure to shop around. When purchasing items in bulk, make sure that you can use them in a timely manner, especially before they expire. And finally, don't be seduced into buying something you don't need just because it's a great price. And I know I fall guilty of this because I love a good deal. And I don't want to buy anything that because it's on sale and it's cheap if I don't need it. So I have to ask myself, do I really need that? Is it beneficial for my family? Even if it's $1, is it beneficial for my family? So here's some strategies. Focus on rewards. The first step is a combination of mindset and habit. You see, experts in many different fields recognize that people respond much better to rewards than they do to punishment. When it comes to changing their behaviors, you may find that budgeting is less of a chore or of a punishment if you provide yourself with a short-term incentive for saving. That is a really key point, that if you give yourself something short, something small, and make it short-term for your good saving habits. Because I honestly believe that we can't go long periods of time without rewarding ourselves. Instead of putting all your discretionary income towards your medium-term or long-term savings goal, use a percentage of it to treat yourself to something special each week or once a month, such as a nice dinner, an expensive bottle of wine, but not too expensive, or a video game. Strategy number 2, make it automatic. The second strategy, again, focuses on our tendency to avoid things that are too difficult. Like creating a budget could be considered difficult. Just like we may spend less if it's more difficult to spend. We'll save less if it's difficult to save. So make it easy by making it automatic. Sign up to have a portion of your paycheck to go from your paycheck to your designated account. So if your designated account is vacation, if your designated amount is $25, put that $25 automatically into your savings account for the vacation. And you'll look at that, you'll watch it grow every single week or bi-weekly or monthly, however you choose to do it, but you will watch it grow. And then have your retirement contributions directly coming out of your paycheck, or have it coming from your checking account, but make sure you're contributing to your retirement account. Set up automatic bill paying. And once you've paid the balances on your credit cards, sign up for automatic payment and pay off the entire balance each month. So once you get that bill paid off, you want to start paying off. If you use it this month, make sure you pay the entire balance off. And strategy number 3, create buckets. The third strategy I've already alluded to in strategy number 2. This one involves creating buckets for your savings goal. Research shows that it's more difficult to save for specific goals if you're just using a checking account or even a savings account. Instead, create a specific account for each savings goal. So if your savings goal is vacation, use a savings account for vacation. Use a designated investment account to save for retirement. Invest in products designed for a medium-term savings goal. Name your savings account for the goal that it's being used for. Like I said, call it vacation, call it saving for new baby. So whatever you call it, but make sure just call it so that you can stay motivated towards that savings goal. And strategy number 4, feedback and reminders. Finally, use technology to your advantage. Research mobile apps and online resources so that you can track your spending, manage your finances, and pay bills. There are even apps that remind you a bill is due. So use all those things to keep your bills paid on time, which will help with your credit, and use those apps to automatically transfer everything into the buckets in which it should go in. When you have time, you may consider setting up an appointment to meet your financial institution representative to learn more about the services and products available to help you stick to your budget. And I know that at Neighborhood Credit Union, we do have financial reps that will sit down and help you create budgets, manage your budgets, and help you follow through with your budgets. So don't feel like you have to do it alone. Find somebody at your financial institution and they will be happy to help you. Remember, the easier it is to budget, the more likely you are to do it. Be sure to maximize all the tools and strategies at your disposal. We're here to help. And we're really here to help. There are a variety of tips and strategies to help you free up funds and stick to a budget. Pick the ones that best suit you for your own needs and lifestyle. The most important thing to remember is that budgeting is not a punishment. I know it feels like it, but it's not. With motivation and the right attitude, budgeting may bring you the rewards of financial freedom.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Sims and Ms. Simmons. That was excellent. For everyone on the call, you did receive, if you registered for this event, you did receive the participant guide via email, and we did drop it in the chat as well. So tonight, on behalf of President Nancy Wallace, First Vice President Retta Washington McCoy, myself as the Economic Empowerment Chair, and the entire committee, we sincerely thank you, Ms. Sims and Ms. Simmons, for the presentation and sharing your knowledge and expertise with us. The participation guide, the 50-30-20 rule, the strategies, separating our wants from our needs. I found that to be very enlightening. And I really enjoyed the segment on saying, don't treat your budget as a punishment. In the chat, people are saying, thanks for a great refresher and just helping us to understand that budgeting is not a punishment. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to co-sister Retta Washington McCoy, who is our first vice president.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, and thank you again, Ms. Sims and Ms. Simmons. This has been an excellent presentation, and I am going to go out on a limb and say that we hope that you can come back and do a budgeting 102 session with us There were a lot of great strategies that you shared with us. As Coalition Sister Regina Caldwell said, lots of great kudos and thank yous in the chat. Also on Facebook, I was kind of monitoring the Facebook, and we had a couple of comments on Facebook saying, yep, I like the snowball method. We also had participants saying that they want to learn more about the 50-30-20 rule. And so we appreciate you joining us this evening and helping us to kind of demystify that stigma of budgeting being something that can be scary, and really putting it in terms where particularly we as women, can understand that this is something we really can do and we really can stick to and commit to doing. And we appreciate knowing that we have advocates and allies in the community at entities such as Neighborhood Bank and even National University to kind of help walk us through those types of situations. So we appreciate you. To our participants this evening, thank you for everyone that joined us this evening. We appreciate you taking a power hour of your time this evening. We do hope that you get the participant guide from the chat. If not, then we also have sent that to you in email as well. One of the things that we do want to leave you with, we want to leave you with a couple of things, but one of the things we want to leave you with is a call to action. Ms. Sims and Ms. Simmons shared a lot of great strategies. And so we want to charge each of you and encourage each of you to apply one of the strategies. Just commit to one and apply it for 30 days. That's our call to action for you. And then once you've committed, then we want to encourage you to pull another sister, another young lady, another sister along with you and challenge and encourage her to commit to a strategy for just 30 days and continue to do that every 30 days. We also want to encourage you to continue to follow us on all of our social platforms. We are the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Inc., Dallas Metropolitan Chapter, and we proudly advocate for Black women and girls in our communities and beyond. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and you can find us throughout the community. So please click the QR code that you see on the screen. Follow us on all of our social media, and then navigate to our website so that you can continue to see what great programming we offer. We do have some amazing programs coming up. We do have another Sister-Nomic session coming up this month. And we also have our All That Glitters is Gold signature event, which is our signature fundraising event that is also coming up this month. All of that information can be found on our social media pages as well as our website. With that, we do want to say thank you again, and we do hope that each and every one of you has an amazing evening and a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much. Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies, as well. It's a true
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thank you. Have a great and wonderful evening.
You too.